Genesis is one of the many guilds recruiting for Ashes of Creation. To describe the guild, I'm going to break this down into the discussion surrounding our guild goals. Then I will talk about how we intend to achieve those goals by talking about our overall planning and organization, and our guild, leadership, and alliance structures that we have planned. The goals of this guild are lofty. And to be fair, a lot of guilds have similar goals, but the reality is not many guilds will actually achieve these goals. To me, the biggest prize for guilds in Ashes is to own one of the 5 guild castles on a server. But owning a guild castle on a server that is not competitive versus owning a castle on a server that is competitive are a completely different story. We want to be on a highly competitive server and achieve this goal of castle ownership. Which means to achieve this goal, we will have to be one of the top guilds in the entire game, which is a lofty goal. And I want to be clear, we are not there yet. We are a newer guild, having formed in October of 2023, and we have a long ways to go to be considered one of the top guilds, but we have a plan to get there. In addition to owning a guild castle, we want to be a patron guild of a Metropolis node. Keep in mind there are only 3 patron guild slots in a Metropolis node, so again, this is a lofty goal. And a lot of guilds have this goal, so to achieve this we'll have to do a lot of things extremely well. Ashes is a PvX game, so we will need to excel in all areas of the game to achieve these goals. So castle ownership and patron status are the 2 primary goals of this guild. There are many tertiary goals that will come naturally as we strive for these goals. Those are server first boss kills, having some of the best artisans on the server, ranking high in the guild ladder, having several teams ranking high in the arena ladder, and various other leaderboards in the game. And there are many more things that we will attempt to excel at. There's no area of the game we will not try to excel at. Again, lofty goals, but I am a competitive person by nature. I enjoy competition, and for me, competition within gaming takes the game to a new level. So that's why I embrace the spirit of competition. In order to achieve these lofty goals, we are going to have a lot of plans. The vast majority of successful guilds in any MMO have a lot of organization and planning. We already have an arsenal of spreadsheets, custom bots, and other tools in place that we will constantly iterate and expand upon continually during Alpha 2 testing and beyond. Also have experience with running or being an officer in several very successful PvP-oriented guilds in several past MMOs, and I have well over 20 years of real-life leadership experience to lean on from both the military and my job experiences. Leadership is not a new thing for me, and I am confident in my abilities to get this guild to achieve these very lofty goals. But again, it will take time. Rome was not built in a day. We intend to have a robust officer corps with specific roles for outstanding individuals. Becoming an officer in this guild is not something that will be easy, and officers are held to a high standard. So far, we do have a few officer positions taken, but there are many positions still available. This is the leadership flowchart that we are currently working with. This has already evolved multiple times and will continue to evolve in the future. Ashes of Creation is an open-world PvX MMO. In these types of MMOs, numbers do matter a lot. So in order to get the numbers we need, we are utilizing 2 major approaches. One, we do have both a casual and a hardcore chapter. Even if the player is not a top tier player in terms of skill within the combat system, they can contribute in many other ways. The artisan system of Ashes is critical to the success of any guild, with crafters making the best gear, and any contribution made advances us in that area. Casual players benefit from the protection of hardcore players. Casual players in a hybrid guild like this will likely advance much faster than they would in a true casual guild. Hardcore players benefit from the higher player numbers and the extra contributions from the casual members. We intend to start as one guild during Alpha 2, but we might eventually break the hardcore and casual chapters into separate guilds depending on how the guild perk system plays out. If we find it beneficial to break our guild into smaller guilds to take advantage of the guild perks, we will do so. As for the target recruiting goal, we are aiming for at least 300 players, which is the proposed guild member cap for Ashes of Creation. We currently have 80 Alpha 2 members, but we have around 40 people interested in buying Alpha 2 access when the A2 access sales come back online. Before Alpha 2, we should easily have close to 120 members with A2 access, if not a lot more. Our growth is pretty steady and consistent, aided by me constantly promoting the guild on this YouTube channel. In addition, another way we are expanding our numbers is via alliances. alliances. We already have a lot of plans for alliances with a number of guilds that we're going to be trialing as potential long-term allies during Alpha 2. In addition, we're going to avoid unnecessarily angering other guilds unless provoked. But don't take that as we are not fans of PvP. That is not the case. In fact, I'm a huge fan of PvP. We're just going to avoid being completely indiscriminate with who we PvP. But those who do provoke us will for sure know they did and will see our full wrath. We also want people who can handle their business and know how to act like a proper adult and can therefore take both winning and losing very well. No one likes a rage quitter or someone who gets excessively toxic after a victory or a loss. And no, I'm not talking about minor things like the occasional teabagging or a bit of trash talk. From having played a lot of PvP MMOs, those are minor things compared to what can and will happen. We also do not have a lot of unnecessary rules in this guild. A lot of hardcore guilds require you to be in voice chat at all times when playing the game. There are situations where I will require you to be in voice chat, but not every second that you are in the game. A lot of hardcore guilds require you to play a certain amount of hours per week. We do want people who can put in that time for a hardcore chapter, and long periods of inactivity without letting us know could mean we end up moving you to the casual chapter. But we're going to give plenty of leeway on things like that. I also will not force members to play certain builds that are deemed to be optimal. Instead, I may ask for volunteers to fill certain roles or builds as needed for Siege and Raid rosters. But at the end of the day, my philosophy is for you to play what you're familiar with and what you're comfortable with, and most importantly, what you enjoy playing the most. Some people can easily switch specs and be really good at that spec very quickly, but a lot of people can't. So in a lot of cases, just playing what you're familiar with and enjoy the most is the best strategy. We do have some rules, of course, and those will be enforced, but we just don't have a lot of unnecessary rules that can take away from the fun of the game for a lot of people. We also intend to promote people within the hardcore chapter based on skill and have elite PvP and PvE groups and even smaller scale elite teams that fill certain roles in PvP and PvE. Such as scouting, winning outnumbered PvP fights, speedrunning dungeons, defending or attacking caravans, taking specific objectives in sieges, and a whole lot more. We intend to have a primary person for all the processing and crafting professions within the artisan system. We have a robust plan including automation via bots and spreadsheets to ensure materials are getting to the correct professions, prioritized by the current needs of the guild. Contributions will be tracked, and those that contribute the most will be rewarded with getting gear via the artisan system faster than others would. In addition, those that contribute the most in PvP and PvE will get geared out faster. Our most skilled players and those that play critical roles for the guild, such as main tank, will get geared out the fastest. In general, we are planning to be a meritocracy where you'll be rewarded for your contributions to the guild appropriately. If you always play by yourself with your small friend group and never contribute anything to our artisans or never run guild raids or run caravans or do other forms of PvP with us, then you won't get much from us. And eventually we might just have to remove you and your side group from the guild, because at the end of the day, Guilds and Ashes will need to operate as one unit, not a collection of smaller groups that occasionally talk to each other. In addition, despite me being a content creator and streamer, this is not a streamer guild where the streamer guild leader just gets fed gear every time he logs in, and there is very little overall organization. This guild is very serious and highly organized, and not just designed to promote any specific content creator. That being said, we have several Ashes of Creation content creators, such as myself, Richie SH, and Roar, and others that have all helped to expand our reach and grow this guild much faster than it would otherwise have grown. Finally, we are planning to go on to a competitive US East server. We don't restrict to US residents only, and we do have members who currently live in Europe and Asia and some other areas of the world. If you want to know more, a link to the Ashes Forums recruiting post is in the description, and a link to the first guild meeting is also in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Even if you're in another guild, feel free to join Genesis Discord as a friend of the guild or guild ambassador and keep in touch. If you want to apply to the guild, you will get directed to the application immediately when joining the guild. Our recruiting officers are very quick to respond to new applicants and answer any questions that might come up. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in Vera very soon.